What's up, everybody? Welcome back into TK Wrestling, and we are here with our Money in the Bank predictions. Man, it's going to be a hell of a show that you just let me know that you're not going to even be able to watch live. So I feel bad.
No, I'm going to have to, like I said, I'm going to have to avoid all social media. I don't know if I'm going to have to stay up late Saturday night and put it on as soon as I get home, but making a little comic excursion, going to look for some Uncanny X-Men early Dark Phoenix issues in good shape in Houston. Maybe they got some good back issues there. We'll see. But no, then I'll be getting back and either going straight to bed and waking up first thing Sunday morning, putting on some eggs and bacon and Money in the Bank, or I'll be staying up late wired. But this is I want to know all the results, but I don't want to know all the results, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I get it, and I am a little jealous that you're going out to H-Town. I love Houston. We live close to New Orleans, but we live closer to Houston. So in my adult life, whenever I make like day trips or weekend trips, especially with the wife or whatever, we go to Houston, and I love going out there. The little bit I get to go to Texas, and remember after Hurricane Laura hit, I was displaced there for a while, so I was living in the Houston area, and man, big city, much bigger city than us.
Houston's big. Huge. It's why it's like you can drive
so spread out, dude.
Yeah, you can drive an hour and still be in Houston, it feels like. So.
That's the thing about Texas. You can drive through Texas for like 12 hours and still be in Texas.
Oh yeah,
it's huge. It's massive.
I remember. I used to live in Dallas. I remember driving back through Dallas like after not being there for 10 years, and I swear it was all like it was the same 10 restaurants in a row for like 30 miles. Like they just repeated. I'm like, wow, welcome back to DFW area. So.
Yep, welcome back to the South, baby. Yeah, that's it. All right, so we're here with our Money in the Bank predictions, and man, 4 matches. That's it. So it's either we're getting a short card, like a short time, or all these matches are going to go long.
Well, I figure, if nothing else, 3 of them are multi-person matches. So you figure the Money in the Bank matches, there's going to be all sorts of drama, and then it really depends on the order of the matches, right? Because if the men's Money in the Bank opens and the Cody, and the Cody Jeff Cena Logan Paul tag team match finishes, do we have an immediate cash in? So maybe there's time for that. Like that's what makes me wonder. Really, is there going to be some weird cash in thing? And because the tag team match does close the night, right? And that's why
I think it does.
That's why we buffer it, or maybe there's just the illusion of illusion of a cash in. Like I'm not, I don't know. And it influenced, and maybe that tag match turns into a brawl. Because if you think about it, if we're still splitting them down the lines like I am superhero wise, if you bring them all out, because Punk's going to be there, even though he's not in the Money in the Bank match, Punk's going to be there probably in some way to influence the men's Money in the Bank match with Seth. So you got all that. You'll probably have Sammy there as well. You're going to have Braun and Bronson there probably to back Seth up in some way. And then you've got Cody and Jay and Cena and Paul. And what if all of a sudden there's just like a huge 5-6 man each, like a little mini Royal Rumble, Or what if Travis Scott shows up like everyone's hoping?
Oh man, I'd rather the brawl. And if Travis does show, here's my thing, dude. I don't mind Travis Scott being around.
No,
I just don't agree with him beating up on actual wrestlers. I just don't agree with that.
If Travis Scott is the guy who constantly gets thrown through a wall, that'd be great. Like if he's always
just like a Weasley
backstage,
manager.
Right. Yeah, he's backstage talking shit and, somebody throws him through a wall, or something like that. Then I can handle it. Not that Travis Scott going to bow up to Cody Rhodes. And So.
Yeah, I agree. But look, I wouldn't even mind if he was here just like as a shit talker and he wouldn't be scared to get up in people's faces and stuff. But I just, I'm not just all that excited to see him in the ring. I guess that's it.
Yeah. But that's enough on him.
Exactly. But to what your earlier point, I don't know what order we get these matches in. I would assume that the tag match is the main event. That's what most people assume.
Here's the question. Do we assume that however it goes, the women are the meat of this sandwich and the men are the bun? Do you think there's no way they're going to finish with the women's Money in the Bank. They're not going to finish with Becky and Lyra. They might open with one of them, but probably not. So I'm saying you're probably going to get the men as the bun and the women as the meat is what I'm guessing.
Yeah, I I agree with you, actually. I think that's probably the perfect layout is men's Money in the Bank, and then you can buffer with Lyra and Becky right there second, women's Money in the Bank, and then tag in the main event. I think that's exactly how I'd do it. WWE, I gotta give them credit. Every time we get to a PLE or a Saturday night's main event, we're always like, man, 4 matches, 5 matches, and then every match typically ends up being pretty good. So
yeah, no, they're bangers usually.
Yeah,
Their matches.
yeah.
It's just, you spoil us with like, God, I'd have to go back and count. But I mean, I know there are at least 5 matches on Raw. If not, I felt like there might have been 6 on Monday. I can't remember.
Yeah.
There were a bunch of matches Monday, it felt like. And yeah, so when you get to a PLE, you'd expect a PLE to at least be on Raw level when it came to match number. But not going to complain, because they should be 4 banger matches, dude. And I don't know which one I'm most excited for. What's funny, I'm least excited for the Becky and Lyra match, probably, and there's no reason for me to be the least excited about that match, if that makes sense.
Yeah, on a scale of 1 to 10, when you rate all the matches, it might be the lowest, but it's still like an 8.5 or a 9. You know, in terms of excitement level. So there's just a lot of storyline going into this night and a lot of good storyline progressions going into this night. And I think WWE's done a really good job in their limited time frame. Some people will criticize the tag team main event being there. And I wish we had both world champions on the card defending their titles, or at least one of them. But I mean, look, dude, when you have to take into effect the gravity of the competition in the main event. Like, you say, I want both the champions to be defending their championships, and then in the same breath also complain that WWE limits themselves by giving themselves too short of a window in order to book these storylines. So what, would you have wanted to see Logan Paul and Jey Uso one-on-one again? Probably not. I'm not really interested in seeing that one-on-one anymore. When I look at the flip side, I'm much more interested in seeing this tag team match. And then on the other side, on SmackDown, you're not doing Cody and Cena this early. You're at least saving that until SummerSlam. So I guess my question for those that want to complain about it is, what would you have done otherwise? Would you have rushed us into a championship match against a new competitor within 2 weeks? Because that's the problem that a lot of people have been complaining about, is the short time frames.
I don't get what you. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't get what you want. Like, look, you can't with let's be real here. PLEs at almost every other week, it feels like. I mean, it gets a little boring if it's always a title defense. You're not taking it off Cena right now. You just know it. And you're not taking off Jey this fast, probably. I don't know. I'm still wondering if he could lose it Monday.
Well, not to somebody that would be a legitimate threat to take it away from him, though. So it's not like he's facing Gunther, and Gunther might take it away from him, or he's facing Seth, right? In this short time frame, who are you going to throw him against? Some random heel? And then it's like, okay, what's the point of a championship match just for the sake of a championship match that the person's going to win? Sometimes there's bigger storylines than the championship at that moment, even though the championship may be the overarching bigger storyline. So I'm right there with you.
And at the same time, it's Money in the Bank. You want to see John Cena on the John Cena retirement tour at Money in the Bank. Why would you not want to see Cody Rhodes and Jey? Like, I don't get why you're complaining about this match. Like, it's out for a title. This is a fun match. The feud makes sense. Like I said, that Logan Paul and Jey, like, they've been killing it on these promos. Like I said, that last promo Logan did was just fire, dude. And it makes sense why him and Cena would team up. Like as much as, it may be rushed, the team up for me makes sense. I buy into it. I'm like, look, I get it. Especially as Cena tries to alienate himself from the WWE world. Who's the one guy who's technically not entirely in the WWE world that's wrestling? Logan Paul. So if there's one guy that you do relate to, besides The Rock, it's Logan Paul. So I don't understand the hate on this match. I feel like it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, dude. I mean, all those guys throw down. I guess, are we talking about this match? What are we doing? Are we just going right?
No, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, I don't get the complaint on it. I think the best match of the night, though, might be the women's Money in the Bank, though. That might be the one that I am on the most excited to see how it goes.
Well, let's just talk about the women's Money in the Bank then. We've already talked about what we think should be the best order.
If there is going to be an opener that is the chicks, this is the one. Sorry.
100%.
Because you're not
the women. Yeah.
You're sorry. Yeah. No offense, ladies. I'm sorry.
But yeah. We know your intentions are pure.
But yeah, I mean, this is the match. This is the one that opens.
I agree.
So
yeah, I agree. So let's talk about it. So we already talked about where we think the matches should be in terms of their placement on the card, but we'll just talk about this one because I agree. I think this has, when we look back at it after the fact, in hindsight, we could be like, man, that was the best match of the night, dude. That was the banger. And when you look at the names in this, right, you got 3 vets and 3 rookies, basically. Given they've been experienced elsewhere, but still, you got Alexa Bliss, Roxanne Perez, Rhea Ripley, Giulia, Naomi, and Stephanie Vacquer. And look, man, WWE is showing off their NXT swagger a little bit, showing that they have the best women's roster in WWE or in the world, I would argue. And it's not even on Raw and SmackDown, some would argue. Some would say that NXT is the feeder system of elite women in wrestling. So there's a lot of talent in here. And I think that literally everybody except, I will say, maybe Giulia has a legitimate shot to win the whole thing. So I think this is the most spread out in terms of odds of who may win this in terms of a women's match that we've seen in a really long time. I think that any of these, again, minus Giulia, and even if you do Giulia, I think that would be a little accelerated, but you could still let her hold it because I think you and I have agreed she's destined for the U.S. title and she's going to face Zelina Vega. Now, that doesn't mean that she couldn't also have the briefcase while she's chasing. I just don't necessarily think that that's what's best for the briefcase. So nothing against Giulia. I just think that I don't think she really needs it. I don't think it fits her character currently. But I guess I don't want to pick yet because I don't know.
Well, I mean, I've got my pick. I've got my pick by process of elimination in a sense. So it's like you said, it's more what storylines are going on right now to who's going to get it, right? Like I love these NXT ladies, and I told you like my theory, they're all going to like team up against Rhea in a sense. They're going to be the reason Rhea doesn't win Money in the Bank is going to be these three upstarts, and it'll lead into a feud with Rhea and all of them because she's kind of got a feud already with all of them. So I think it's going to lead into that as we play in the Io Sky story, and we'll see where all that goes towards SummerSlam and whatnot. But that's why I take all 4 of those ladies off the block. Not only that, as you said, Giulia and Zelina Vega probably going for that U.S. or American U.S. title, yep. And then we got. We just got Stephanie Vacquer in there. I don't think she's going to go. She could. There is a chance. If there's one of these 4, she's my whatever. She's my number 2 to get the briefcase. And then Roxanne's got enough going on right now, I think, with Judgment Day and whatnot. I feel like bringing the briefcase in could make that storyline way more interesting. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know if it needs it, like I feel like some other storylines do, then we get take to, like I said, Rhea doesn't need the briefcase. Rhea's not going to get it because the ladies aren't going to let her. If there's one person I feel like everybody's going to be teaming up on, it's going to be Rhea, maybe it's the 3 vets versus the 3 young ones in the beginning, but then I feel like it becomes the 3 youngins all against Rhea. And
go ahead.
Well, what's funny is I found out they're not necessarily youngins. Like Stephanie Vacquer is older than Rhea Ripley.
Yeah. Stephanie's been making her way around the Latin American scene for quite some time now. And Giulia in Japan. I mean, Roxanne Perez, she's only 23. Isn't that wild? She's 23.
No, I knew she was super young. I just assumed the other 2, because they were NXT, they were younger, because Rhea's kind of been a WWE force.
Yeah.
Force for a little bit.
Well, and when Stephanie Vacquer got signed, she actually was given the chance to choose her brand. So whenever she got signed, they said, hey, do you want Raw or do you want SmackDown? And she said, well, I kind of want to go to NXT, actually. And she went to NXT instead. Right. So, keep in mind, though, when Stephanie got signed, WWE's NXT women's division, it's still stacked right now, don't get me wrong, but that women's division, it was stacked. So she said she wanted to go face the best in the world, and she felt like the best in the world were currently in that NXT women's division.
All right.
Then you saw Stephanie Vacquer. She very quickly won the North American Championship, very quickly became the first and only double women's champion in NXT. They've done that bit before with the men, but they've never done that with the women, and Stephanie Vacquer was the first one to do that. So you could already see they're really strapping the rocket. And again, like you mentioned, there's a chance that, especially like you said, she is a little older than some of them, and she's already so good. She's already over. Like, the crowd loves her. Yeah. And I wouldn't be shocked if at the end Stephanie Vacquer is standing there with the briefcase, but she's not my pick. So
yeah, like I said, she's my number 2 pick, like I said. So I mean, but then we got, like I said, we got Alexa Bliss. We don't know what's going on with her in the Wyatt Six. We don't know what's going on with her and Charlotte Flair. I don't think she needs the briefcase either right now, depending on what she's doing with her story, whatever her story is. I don't think the briefcase really benefits it at all. So that leaves Naomi. So
all right,
she's taking it. I mean, look, she's the one. It makes her story interesting. You got Bianca Belair still in the championship discussion as well. I feel like this is going to be, whereas the men's we could see cashed in tonight, the women's, we might not see that cashed in till WrestleMania or something, when Bianca might be finally had the title, or maybe as soon as Bianca gets the title, if she gets the title, I don't know. But you feel like Naomi and Bianca's story is still going to be tied together. So same with Jade's. She's not going to leave those two behind. But Money in the Bank, baby, I feel like Naomi is the one who takes it. Just that's where I'm at. And like I said, that's how I see the match going. Like I said, I see the vets versus the youngins going. Big breakup. Two of them get thrown out. The Alexa and Naomi get thrown out. The three girls go against Rhea, just going against Rhea like crazy every once in a while. Naomi or Alexa reinserts herself, helping Rhea out for a second, but they're going to get the and eventually Naomi takes it.
Be surprised. So first of all, I do see the scene of the three vets standing across the ring from the three newcomers, we'll call them, because they're not necessarily all rookies, but the three newcomers to the main roster. And I see that definitely, and they kind of look at the crowd and the crowd's, cheering or whatever. And then they just start beating each other up. And then, I agree with you. I think it dissects a little bit after that. And maybe, some of the vets get in the way because, some of the vets, some are face, some are heel. So there still is that dynamic. And eventually Naomi's going to piss off Alexa and they'll start fighting or getting Rhea's way, and Rhea's going to hit her with the headbutt, something like that. Man. So I'm taking Giulia out first. I think she's the last on my list. When I look at the rest of everyone else, while I think it would be cool and it would be crazy if she won it, I got to put Stephanie all the way down there towards the bottom.
Okay.
Here's the thing. I view Stephanie Vacquer so highly, and I think that WWE does as well, that I don't really think that she needs this. Unless, like I said, she's going to go the Rhea route and cash it in for Evolution. That's the only way I could see that happen.
So
that would be crazy.
Tonight, or Saturday night.
No, I mean, look, Austin Theory cashed in Money in the Bank on a shot for the U.S. title one year, and he actually lost that.
Right.
But I mean, look, if you want to elevate the status of the IC title like that, that's a great way to do it. But at the same time, I guess we would have to talk about who would win that match, because if you look at Becky winning the match, then it's like, are you okay just giving Becky that little short reign and then maybe even dampening the effect of Lyra having to raise her hand just seconds prior? And then if Lyra wins, and then Stephanie comes out and cashes, are we all of us, because Lyra's a babyface? How do we keep Stephanie a babyface after taking the title off of the babyface that just won the hard fought battle against the heel? So then do we have to turn Stephanie heel after that? So that'd be my biggest hang up. I mean, is where we're going.
Is Stephanie babyface, or is she just a liked?
Oh no, I think she's babyface.
Okay,
I think she's babyface.
I think she was kind of like a Rhea Ripley, like an anti-hero,
Well, I think Rhea was more anti-hero prior to WrestleMania, but now I think she's back to 100% guns blazing babyface. I feel that way. I just feel like when you get the reactions that Rhea gets, it's like you're going to have to do something drastic to make her anything other than your top babyface in the women's division.
That's why I call her anti-hero, because she should be a villain, but everybody loves her,
Yeah.
And that's why I feel about Stephanie. Like, maybe Stephanie's a villain, but everybody loves her, So.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I'm putting her down towards the bottom.
All right,
and if I'm wrong, I'll happily be wrong. I'm all about it.
I'm with you 100%. Like I said, this is why, like, I could make an argument for almost any of these ladies to win. So
yeah. When I go down the list again, I'll put Roxanne down there. I agree with you. While I do think that her adding the Money in the Bank briefcase to Judgment Day, and then you have this conflicting narrative between her and Liv, and then especially if Roxanne cashes in, and like, what if Liv and Raquel lose their tag titles, and then Roxanne has the briefcase, cashes in, and then all of a sudden she's women's champion, and she's parading around Judgment Day, the only one, and then she and Dom now are the only ones with championships, and see, and now Liv's getting pissed off, and she's getting even more upset about the whole situation. Raquel's getting frustrated that Liv's not head in the game, so that could create some interesting intertwining narratives or whatever. But I just don't see it yet. I don't see her winning the Money in the Bank. And then as I get further down, I got to put Alexa. I think she's my third option to win. Again, while I think it would be interesting, I agree with you. I think she's got a lot of stuff going on already that she could easily go and be a part of, that she doesn't need the Money in the Bank. And again, I view her highly enough that I don't think she necessarily needs it right now. She could just go win a number one contenders or be placed into a championship program and no one would question it. She's that good. So then I'm left with Naomi and Rhea Ripley.
You got Rhea, so you got Rhea still maybe taking it then. All right.
I'm back and forth, dude. Half of my brain is telling me Naomi because I agree with everything that you and the internet is saying, that it just makes sense and she should carry it, and it would be poetic justice of her to cash it in on Tiffany Stratton.
Angle I forgot about that. I keep ignoring the marketing angle.
There is the mommy in the bank.
I mean,
and listen, WWE loves to sell product for a very limited time. They love to put tag teams together, create merch, and then have them turn on each other. They did it with AJ Styles and Chris Jericho.
I didn't realize some of these shirts sell out. Like I was watching Santi, and he said the R-Truth Cena shirt is sold out. Like, man, I'm gonna have to go get me a Cena Tennessee shirt before they sell out now. Dang.
Yeah, if they're not already.
Yeah, right.
You might have to get it on eBay. You might have to get it resale. We'll have to check it out. But yeah, dude, half of me saying Naomi, half of me saying Rhea Ripley, because like I said, I just feel like Rhea Ripley and Io Sky are just destined to do battle forever. And I just really love the idea of Rhea Ripley getting that Money in the Bank and amicably, like I said, I keep saying the word amicably, but going to Io and saying like, hey, out of respect for you, I'm telling you ahead of time, I'm cashing this in on you for the main event of Evolution, and they're going to go out and have maybe the greatest women's match of all time. I just think that WWE is huge on history, and I think they're big on making moments, and we never got a definitive answer to Io and Rhea one-on-one. We have never got, or we never got that conclusion that we have been wanting. And what a better way to have them break apart for like 2 or 3 years, right? They don't have to feud again for a while. After this, they don't have to meet each other for a while after this. You can even split them to different brands if you wanted. But I just think that Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, main event of Evolution 2.
No, you've been riding this gentleman Rhea thing for a while, so I
it just sounds like the move to me. If I were doing it, if I were booking this, I just, that's what I would do. So as much as I love Naomi, I think that her heel run has already kind of solidified her as a bona fide main eventer. And I wouldn't be surprised if Naomi, if she doesn't win this briefcase, is a number one contender for Tiffany Stratton's title very, 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 very soon. So with all that being said, I'm picking Rhea Ripley to win the women's Money in the Bank. I got to take Rhea Ripley. So Naomi and Rhea Ripley. You're going Naomi. I'm going Rhea Ripley. And that was my second choice. So we're right there with each other. So I'm glad we're already split. We already have a difference of opinion here. So I love that. I'm
so torn. Like, I mean, I could even make the Roxanne argument. Part of me wants to,
Yeah, exactly. Also, dang, I just saw it. I'll bring it up again when I remember. Oh yeah, I do want to say your whole everybody ganging up to take Rhea's spot. I think we do see that at some point in the match. I think maybe she starts to run, roughshod on everybody and starts taking everybody out. And then eventually everybody comes back and just starts hitting their finishers on Rhea. And I wouldn't be surprised if she eats every finisher from everybody and then is just out of the match for like a good 5 to 7 minutes, maybe even 10 minutes. Because who knows, these Money in the Bank matches might go like 45 minutes each. So
right,
I could see her sitting out for a while and taking a good breather. All right, so do we want to stick with women or do we want to go to the men's? All right, because so men's.
Now, because if it does go women, this is the way it would go. It'd go women, because you've got to give El Grande Americano some time to rest up for this men's match,
Yeah. So this might be a little later, but at the same time, who knows? All right, men's Money in the Bank ladder match. We have Solo Sikoa, LA Knight, Penta, Seth Rollins, Andrade, and El Grande Americano. All right, so I guess I'll go ahead and take lead on this one real quick. We'll swap back and forth.
Are we both agreed that number 6 is Andrade?
Yes. Yeah. We'll agree that numbers. So let's actually do that. Let's do a little bit of that back and forth. So number 6, we'll agree, is Andrade. I think we'll agree on that. Even though I think he could swap out with one other person that might surprise you a little bit. But yeah, I think Andrade is 6. So let's talk about 5th then. So who would you have 5th?
Fifth would probably be well, Penta and El Grande Americano from year 4 and 5.
I'm right there with you, actually. So I think they're interchangeable right there at 4 and 5. I think that we because I was going to say maybe you don't expect me to say Penta, but yeah, I think Penta is right there for me. So Penta, El Grande Americano.
I mean, like I said, those guys. I feel like this match becomes more for them about kicking the crap out of each other than it does about Money in the Bank. You know what I mean? It's kind of like how we saw Damian and Drew McIntyre go off, in that 4-way match. And it's like, it wasn't about the title. It was about kicking the crap out of each other. So I feel like this, like I said, we're going to get this to further solidify that hatred. And I think maybe Penta gets the one up this time or something, maybe it'd be great if Penta grabbed the metal plate and I don't know. You can't probably throw it in the audience because you could hurt somebody.
Right.
It would be great if you could throw it in the audience or just hand it to a kid, in the front row.
Right.
Here's Chad Gable's metal plate.
Maybe he just hits him with it. I think he's just going to hit him with it.
So that'd be great too. Something like that. Whatever it is. Because what Money in the Bank matches is no DQ, right?
Yeah. No disqualification.
Yeah. So that would be just as good then. So I got these two more concentrated on each other than I do Money in the Bank.
Yeah, I agree with you there. So we've got Andrade, El Grande Americano, and Penta right there, interchangeable. I think that we can both agree that Solo is number 3. I think that's where I would have Solo. I would love to see Solo running around with the Money in the Bank on SmackDown. I haven't hidden my love for Solo's character lately. I think he's hilarious. I think his comedic timing is on point. You can definitely see his dad's comedic roots coming through because Rikishi was also hilarious in that same way. So look, Solo, I think, is great. And if it weren't for LA Knight and Seth Rollins in front of him, I think that he'd be a pretty good choice to win the whole damn thing. But I also do think that he's destined for a matchup with Jacob Fatu fairly soon, probably at SummerSlam for that title. So for that reason, I have Solo at number 3.
All right. I got Seth at number 3.
Okay.
I would almost have Seth at number 6 because I believe there's no way Seth wins this. I think we get interference, like I said, by CM Punk, by Sammy. I feel like this might become an outside brawl of, like I said, Bronson Reed, everybody else. Like I said, I think it's going to take Seth's energy away from the match. So as much fun as I could see Seth having the briefcase and running around with it, because that's the other storyline I really want.
Mm-hmm. So here, I also have Seth number 2. So I think that kind of gives away our winner.
Right.
But yeah, I also have Seth number 2. And, a lot of people, Matt, again, and maybe it's our fault, but a lot of people think that Roman is showing back up to cost Seth this Money in the Bank. And I don't know that I necessarily agree with that unless you're going to bring Roman to Monday Night Raw permanently. And I don't think that's happening. Because then also, are we doing Jey Uso, Roman Reigns, and CM Punk in a 6-man? Against those 3? I don't see that either. So I don't really know that I agree with Roman showing back up tonight. Now, if he does, I could see a scenario where Bronson and Braun come out and maybe take out everybody in the match, right? And all of a sudden, everybody's laid out. Seth's got a clear path to the briefcase, and CM Punk's music hits. And all of a sudden, all right, CM Punk's out. But then CM Punk gets taken out, and he was the last line of defense. And all of a sudden, it looks like Seth has this route or this path to climb up the ladder. He's doing a on the way up, going to grab the briefcase. And then maybe that's where Roman's music can hit. And he comes out and he spears Braun Breaker. He spears Bronson Reed, and then he takes out Seth Rollins. And then right when he goes to turn and leave, that's when CM Punk is coming back too. And then he and CM Punk can have this little stare down with each other. And then they just amicably get out of each other's way. They did what they came to do. They took out Seth, stopped him from winning the match. And maybe that's when our winner, LA Knight, can crawl in, climb up, grab the briefcase, and walk away with the briefcase. LA walking away with the briefcase. So you and I both have LA Knight winning the whole damn thing. So
we do. Yeah, I got Solo at 2. I got LA Knight winning it. I think Solo could be interesting to win as well. Like you said, they're finally, it's like they got away from his character for a little bit. Now they've finally gotten back with him with this whole Jacob Fatu thing and the JC Mateo and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I could see it being really interesting if Solo won it. Like Solo for me would be the most fascinating winner, because I don't know how I'd play it if Solo won it. You know, I know how I play it if Seth wins it, though. Seth for me needed a real victory before this. I need this new whatever it is. I need them to win something definitively. I need them to like have. I can't have it just keep, you know, and it can't be Money in the Bank. You know, it can't be that. That can't be the definitive win, because that's not really a win. That's still like a pause. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Unless Seth won it and then cashed in tonight or Saturday night. You know. Then they have to take it. And who's he taking it from? That'd be really interesting if he cashed it in and took it from Jay. Because what would that do to Jay and Gunther's match?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe all of a sudden we got Gunther Seth?
Does it become
or is it triple threat?
Does it stay just Jay and Gunther and it's not for anything because it was just a bloody match? I mean, you know, I don't know.
I don't know. That'd be very interesting. But I agree with you. Solo Sikoa would be fascinating.
You could have because think of like technically, man, everybody hates Solo. Like everybody hates Seth in some ways right now, but like from I mean, like CM Punk and Seth might not hate Solo, but they ain't friends with him. You know, Roman ain't friends. Jay and Jimmy ain't friends. Even he's losing Jacob, as we're saying, you know. And I doubt like the Bloodline. I mean, the New Day the New Day and the Judgment Day and all these other groups have any love for Solo. So Solo could quite interestingly be like the most hated man on the roster with the Money in the Bank, you know, briefcase. So that could be interesting.
And one extra layer to all that: who's the champion over on SmackDown other than John Cena? And Solo Sikoa has a singles victory over John Cena in the last few years. So there's that other layer that to add to that dynamic as well. Because all of a sudden you get these backstage segments when John Cena shows up and Solo walks up to him and he's talking all this smack with the briefcase. And I think their promos together, like their backstage segments together, would be pretty phenomenal.
God, imagine this. This isn't going to happen, but here's some fancy booking for you, right? Imagine Solo gets the briefcase, cashes in Saturday night on Cena, takes it from Cena. Then the next SmackDown, you've got Solo and Fatu, and Solo's like, "I'm world champion. You're just..."
That would be funny.
Listen to me. So that would be
I think it would be even more poetic. Imagine if he took the title off his brother. Imagine if he took the title, like imagine if, again, the scenario of like, you know, I think that there still could be a draft. Maybe they just swap the titles around at some point. I just find it hard to think that you're going to keep John Cena on SmackDown the rest of his run. Like I know that sometimes he just shows up to Netflix, but I feel like having him on Netflix, especially,
it's too big. It's too big a platform not to be utilizing.
Yeah, especially when it looks like your ratings aren't doing so hot. It just kind of makes sense to have him up there. But whatever. But imagine that dynamic too: is Solo cashing in on Jay, his own brother.
That's a good one too.
The first champion of he and his three brothers, right? Or I mean, they have other brothers, but he and his brothers, and he's the one that takes the title off of him. So I kind of like that dynamic too.
And then what if Fatu and Solo have a match, a 2-title match?
We're definitely getting into some fantasy booking.
I told you it's my fantasy booking. So no, but we both have LA Knight winning it.
Yeah, let's talk about LA Knight as the winner.
Is this more just because than it is for LA Knight? Like I know LA Knight's over. We've been waiting in some ways, but is this a year? Is this like, you know, like when you win the Oscar a year after you should have, sort of thing? Should LA Knight have had his title shot before? Because I feel like there's so much going on right now, and so little that I feel like involves LA Knight when it comes to the title pictures, in a sense, you know. So
yeah, well, I mean, he was U.S. champion earlier this year,
right?
You know?
Right. No, I mean like the major, you know, like he's had no real interaction with Jay or Cena or Cody. You know, he's kind of. I'm not saying that story can't develop in any ways. I'm just saying, are we giving it tonight because he deserves it in a sense, or is he going to win it?
I definitely think he deserves it. 3 years in a row that he's going into Money in the Bank as the odds-on favorite to win the whole thing. So if he doesn't win it again this year, it'd be pretty shocking. No, I think this is a testament to his hard work, and his willingness to do whatever the company asks of him, and takes whatever he does and does it amplified to 11. I think that he deserves it. And look, LA Knight is a guy, he had a world title match a few years ago against Roman Reigns at one of the, I think it was one of the foreign PLEs, and I think that's where Solo Sikoa debuted, actually, funny enough. But yeah, I think he deserves it. I think we're giving it to LA Knight because he has done everything he can do in the mid card on SmackDown. And unless you're going to move him over, I think that now's the time to reward his hard work and his willingness to be a company guy after being in the business for 20 years. I think this is a good reward to a guy that deserves it.
All right. I was just curious, because we're talking about how, Bronson and Braun Breaker might come and clear the entire field, and then last thing you know is LA Knight's the last man standing, sort of climbing that ladder. So I'm just wondering, are we going to see LA Knight, take some people off that ladder to get up that ladder, or is he just going to look and it's going to be free?
Hey, well, even if he does look in it and it gets free, just because you happen upon the greatest thing in the world doesn't make it no longer the greatest thing in the world.
Oh, yeah, no.
If you stumble upon gold, even by accident, it's still gold. And so I think that, sure, maybe it might be a situation of he shows up and he's the last one, but then maybe somebody like El Grande Americano all of a sudden runs up, and all of a sudden we're like, oh crap, El Grande Americano is going to win. And he's got the loaded mask, right? And we think he's going to get, the loaded mask on LA Knight, but maybe LA Knight stops him and pulls the thing off. Or maybe that's when he unmasks El Grande Americano or something, and we find out who it is. And from us being so shocked at who El Grande Americano is, LA Knight's then able to take advantage of it and shove him off, and then rip down the briefcase. So that could be fun.
All right. So if we got Penta and El Grande Americano squaring off, let's say, to start the match, at least, how do the other four square up for you? I mean, is it Seth and Solo? Is it Andrade, and Seth? Who, how you got them squaring up?
I think either Seth or Solo is going to dip out right when the match starts and kind of be like, I'm going to see how this plays out. That could maybe be a Solo thing. Grande Americano, Penta, Andrade, and I don't know. I think LA Knight's going to be the odd man out that's kind of caught there with nothing to do. And then he's going to be and then just go start hitting people. And then he's just going to start he's like, well, I'm going to get this thing started then. Or maybe he chases Solo on the outside. I don't know. So I'll say Seth and Andrade. Yeah. Seth and Andrade get in a little bit. Maybe Andrade's pay attention to me, respect me or something like that. I don't know. I'm curious to see how that goes. Somebody on CBS Sports is picking El Grande Americano to win. But
dude, I mean, look.
I would hate that.
I could have so much fun fantasy booking that one too. But I don't know. Have we ever had Grande Americano on a mic yet? I don't think we've had him on a mic yet, have we?
No, we've had promos backstage or videos or whatever, but I don't think we've had him actually out on a mic. No. Interesting. Yeah, his Espanol es no bueno. Es no bueno. Es no bueno. No, so that would be interesting to see El Grande Americano win, but I would hate it. I would hate it. All right, let's jump into the Women's Intercontinental Championship match. Champion Lyra Valkyria defending against Becky Lynch. Now, look, this match has a little bit of a stipulation, not in terms of no rules or no disqualification or a cell or a cage or anything like that. But if Becky Lynch loses, she can no longer challenge for the Intercontinental Championship as long as Lyra is champion. And if Lyra loses, not only does she lose her title, but she has to raise Becky Lynch's hand. I'll let you start on this one, Di. I took the lead on the men's Money in the Bank. So this one, I know we're both excited for. The match is going to be a banger. It's going to be great. But let me know what you think.
I mean, this all comes down to look, this should be Becky. I mean, this should be Becky so that it makes sense, because if you make it so Becky can't challenge for the title, the only way that works, like I said, is if the women cash in immediately. You cash in on Lyra, and now Becky can challenge for the title because Lyra ain't got it anymore. I'm still curious about Bayley, man. I keep bringing it up, but where is Bayley? We haven't heard anything from Bayley. Where is Bayley? And we're not going to get anything on SmackDown tonight. This match is ready to go. It's been fired up. It's been primed to the pump as much as you can prime a match. It's going to be hard hitting. It's going to be high flying. One of these girls could end up with a broken nose, as we've seen. It's been a common, theme lately, in a sense, between Chelsea Green. I think Ivy Nile got a good one in the nose as well.
Oh yeah, I remember that
Money in the Bank match, and then we saw Liv's forehead. So this, I guess my real thing is I want this match to last. You know what I mean? Without a bunch of fake pinfalls or whatever, without a bunch of finish. I want there to be a way that this match organically lasts a good 20 minutes or something, you know? So that's going to be the trick, but these ladies can do it. They have so many moves, dude. I mean, it's going to be the flow of the match. It's going to be, you know, like I said, it's going to be who shows up, if anybody shows up. I'm still waiting for Seth to show up to one of Becky's matches, you know?
Bro, imagine that. No music, right? He just walks out and he's just like, and everybody just starts going nuts. Mm-hmm. And that'd be great.
Did you hear? I didn't watch it, but apparently they did the weather on an LA news station together the other day.
I did not see that.
So I'm gonna have to go search that after the show. I saw a note about that, how they did the weather.
Yeah, I'll definitely go look that up. I'm gonna look that up. Yeah.
But no, I mean, I think the only problem with this match is that it's got to end. You know, like this feud eventually has to go somewhere else because this is the tipping point. That's why either person can make sense, because that's why the stipulations, you know, make sense. Because if Lyra does win, Becky go figure something else out. You know, if Becky wins, Lyra's got to acknowledge it, and then there's going to be like 2 months of shame where Becky can shame her and whatnot before, and there'll be some nice matches in between that they both have before we get another Becky Lynch Lyra throwdown, which is really how I fantasy book this. Is I see that happening. Like that's maybe when Bayley comes back, she starts getting in, and maybe like you said, we get a fatal or a 3-way title match by SummerSlam or something like that. So I've got Becky winning this just because I can't imagine her not be able to challenge for this title again, because that kind of kills the story outright. So if anything, the stipulation gives me the winner. But man, this match is going to be hard hitting. I just hope that it makes that it's not a bunch of almost pinfalls towards the end. I hope that it's still a lot of fluid movement, a lot of high flying action, a lot of throwing out the ring, throwing back in. I hope there's a lot of out of the ring action. Like I said, I just hope there's not an abundance of near pinfalls going through this thing. That's all.
Well, get ready. We're going to have some false finishes, no doubt. We're going to have a lot of false pins.
I know we're going to. I just don't want to, you know, an exorbitant. There gets a point, you know, where you feel like somebody's getting almost pinned every 3 seconds, you know. So
Yeah. Well, I don't think we're going to get a pin, you know, reversal party to end the match like we did when Lyra retained. I think that was just for the shock factor of it. Look, I agree with you. I think Becky Lynch does win here. It just makes it. I could even see her again weaseling a way out of, you know, getting into something else, or I don't know. I could see her working around the whole like stipulation in terms of not challenging for the title again. But the storyline of Lyra Valkyria having to raise her hand is just more fascinating to me, and that's just what I want to see more. And I think that Lyra has already held onto this title for quite some time, has had good matches, has elevated her mic game, and I think has really raised the prestige of this championship already. And I think that giving it to Becky Lynch, no matter how short it may be, is just nothing but beneficial for the title. And it keeps this story going even more, because I don't think we're ready to see the end of this because of Bayley. I think we need to see Bayley reintegrated. And I think having Lyra have to raise the hand of Becky Lynch is going to add more to the story. And then Bayley coming back is going to be even more to the story. So yeah, I got Becky winning here. Lyra's going to have to raise her hand. And I do still think that we're heading for that triple threat at SummerSlam. So yeah, I think that's where we're going.
Yeah. No, and I just, like I said, I just want this to be as brutal as it should be. That's the only thing. I want this to be a brutal match. I don't want any reserve, you know, take it back. I hope these ladies in real life do have some disdain for each other and aren't like going backstage and having mojitos together or whatever as soon as they're off air. I hope there is some real disdain. I really want to see Seth come out, because we see Dom come out for Liv, you know, and all this other stuff. I want to see Seth come out, you know. So,
yeah, that'd be interesting if Seth did come out for Becky soon.
It's weird that like they acknowledge the relationship, but they don't like acknowledge the relationship. You know?
Yeah, they've only done really that I can remember one thing on camera together, and it wasn't, or on screen during an angle together, and it wasn't really received very well by the audience. The crowd didn't seem to love it, and especially the internet wrestling community didn't love it. So
maybe it's a bad idea. Maybe they've tried it. It's a bad idea, but it's so weird. Like, you even had Lyra bring up, like, with Becky, the best thing about you is your husband, you know? So it's kind of weird how like disconnected they are, but everybody knows they're married, you know? Yeah. So.
Well, they can't go out at the same time, because who's going to watch the baby backstage? Who's going to watch the kid? Who's going to watch Rue backstage, you know?
That'd be great. That'd be great if Seth came out with like a blinged out like baby backpack thing.
Yeah,
you know?
Right. Yep. Just letting everybody serenade his kid. I think she's big enough to like walk and talk now, but also I could see this match maybe ending in like a like maybe an exposed turnbuckle, like the middle rope or whatever gets exposed, and maybe Becky's like laying down in the corner, like goading Lyra in, and when the ref is like turned away or whatever, maybe Becky like pulls her down into the turnbuckle, and then whenever Lyra's trying to recover, Becky can hit her finish and get the win. I think it's going to be a clean win. I don't think it's going to be like a roll up or interference or anything like that. I don't think Bayley comes back during the match or anything. I think it's going to be a clean Becky win. Clean as clean can be for Becky, you know.
It's kind of crazy because if Bayley doesn't come out, who else? Like there's no one, right? And that's kind of nuts. Like neither of these ladies really have anyone, you know?
Yeah.
Like
this is their own thing against each other.
And it's kind of stunning. Like as we talk about how deep the women's card is, that, like I said, we kind of, that's why I said, I was saying that about Lyra way back. That's why I was like that she started getting with Bayley. But, you know, we ain't seen Bayley now. It's like, it's weird that's why I'm so used to matches, people having somebody in their corner, to have both these ladies. That's why I said, bring Seth out in Becky's corner, bring Bayley out in Lyra's corner. So it's just so weird to have a match where we don't.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so we both got Becky, and we're heading into the main event now. Main event, Jey Uso tagging with Cody Rhodes, going up against WWE Champion John Cena and the megastar Logan Paul. Now, look, I think we both agree who should win here. I think we will, but look, I again, we already talked about the hate that this match is getting in terms of like people not really wanting it. Again, you guys want WWE to make good booking decisions or make different booking decisions, and then they do something like this and you guys shit on it. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, this is the third year in a row where the main event of Money in the Bank is going to be a tag team match. Okay, then you should be used to it by now. Like, what are we still bitching about then? Like, why are we still complaining if it's the third year in a row and you're still complaining about it at this point? And so, and let's not pretend that every tag match that has happened in these past Money in the Banks haven't been excellent. They've all been great. And I said the last two before this third one will probably be pretty good as well. You know, we talked about earlier wanting to give this match enough time. Excuse me. And I think that all four of these guys, maybe excluding Logan, can move at a slow enough pace that it already fits in their style naturally. Like John Cena moves at a slower pace. Jey Uso can move at a slower pace. Cody Rhodes can move at a slower pace. Logan Paul is maybe the fastest guy, but in terms of being a heel, you could easily slow that down. You do one big move and then you taunt the crowd for 10 to 15 seconds. You do another big move, you taunt the crowd for 10 to 15 seconds, and then the babyface starts getting a little comeback. You knock him back down and taunt the crowd for a minute. So there's a lot of excess time that's going to get lost in this match. Mark my words. Here's my biggest prediction. People are going to bitch about the time management after this match is all said and done. They're going to say that it felt too slow. They're going to say that it could have been faster. And I guarantee you this match is probably going to go 20-ish minutes. And people are going to say, oh, we should take 5 minutes off of it and it would have been so much better. And it's like, yeah, but you guys love the storytelling, right? Allow the storytelling to happen. Like let it work. So I think that a lot of people are already not giving this match a fair shot in terms of what it could be. And look, dude, as much as you might not love him tagging with Logan Paul, every time you see John Cena on TV is an opportunity to see the GOAT one more time. You know, and you know, we're gonna be complaining about this match for the next 6 months, and then in a year from now, when we get to next Money in the Bank, we're gonna be like, man, don't you guys miss John Cena? Like, don't you guys miss having John around? So look, guys, just appreciate it. The match is gonna be what it's gonna be, and it's gonna be fun, dude. Like all four of these guys, in some way, are getting the biggest reaction from the crowds every time they're out in the ring. All four of these guys, Logan Paul included. So I think the match is going to be fun. Give me Cody and Jey to pick up the win.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing is picking a winner in this one, you know,
for
me. I mean, because look, everything says Logan Paul takes the pin, right?
That's what I feel.
Everything says Logan Paul takes the pin. But God, how great would it be to see John Cena and Logan Paul on top just at the end, like just from the villain standpoint? Because I mean, I don't know what we're doing still right now with everything as far as it comes with the John Cena heel turn and whatnot. Is this the middle of the heel turn? Are we, you know, how much longer are we going to run it before we take him back babyface? Are we going to take him back babyface for the end? We assume we are, but are we? Because man, like winning tonight or winning Saturday night would be the ultimate heel win.
You've actually got me thinking about something. Crazy, hear me out. What if Cena pins Cody? What if John pins Cody? And hear me out, listen. What if John pins Cody and Cody on the next time they're both on SmackDown, right? He confronts John and John's like, I got nothing for you. I already beat you twice. I beat you at WrestleMania and I beat you at Money in the Bank. And what if they find a way, kind of similar to what Lyra and Becky are doing? What if they find a way to have Cody put up something more on the line? What if he says, you know, I mean, you could do career, although I think that kind of gives it away in terms of now you're planning to put the title back on Cody if you do career versus title match. But it could be something like, look, if I lose to you at SummerSlam and I don't take that title, I'll go to Monday Night Raw and I'll stay on the opposite brand from you the entire rest of your run. You'll never have to worry about Cody Rhodes while you're champion ever again. That could be something, you know, or you could do, if you want to copy what Lyra is doing and what Becky are doing, you could say, look, as long as you're here, John, I can never challenge for that championship again. He did something like similar to that in AEW. So when Cody was in AEW, you know, he was one of the co-founders of it and one of the vice presidents. When Cody was in AEW, he had a storyline where he put up the opportunity at the AEW World Championship ever. He said, if I lose this match, I will never compete for the AEW World Championship ever. And he lost. And he never did.
But if I win, John, and when I win, John.
Yeah, you got it. You sound like
you're
Cody.
You're going to have to shake this hand and admit that I'm the better man.
Yeah, something like that, right? Yeah, dude. Look, I still pick Jay and Cody. But if John Cena pins Cody Rhodes and all of a sudden we have all of that going on, just if it happens, just come back and tell me I was right, please. Or just tell me I saw something.
I really want to pick, like I said, Logan and John. I really want to pick the heels. I think it's better storytelling for the heels to win. Like I said, I have more questions about after this match than I do this match. Why? Because like you said, there's no titles on the line here. This match does further story, but in some ways it is just a fun match. It's a fun match. If you're not enjoying this match on a pure wrestling basis, what are you watching the WWE for? Like, this is, whether you love him or hate him, Logan Paul is great in the ring. Love him or hate him, hopefully, I assume you love him, but love him or hate him, last time you're going to see Cena at Money in the Bank, you know? If you don't love Jey Uso, you're not living. Because like I said, you can't watch that guy's entrance without a big smile on your face. You know, you're not, I just can't believe anybody watches that and just isn't like, yeet. I mean, I don't even care what, you know, I used to think it was the dumbest thing, yeet. What a dumb word. But now it's like, whatever, yeet, well, yeet, you know?
Yeah.
And same with Cody. If Cody's not one of the most charismatic guys and best wrestlers in WWE, then who is? So you got four of the best, like, you know, multiple Hall of Famers right there, throwing it down in a tag team match. If you're not excited for this match, if you're not ready to watch this match, I don't know what you're watching wrestling for, you know? So, for me, like I said, though, it's more the storyline things that come out of this. Hey, how hurt is Jay at the end of this match? You know? I mean, that's kind of been an underlying storyline going through WWE right now, is Jay beating himself up for reasons that don't matter, in a sense. So how beat up is he going to be for Monday Night Raw? Does Jay get hurt, you know, in some way, you know? Does, you know, like, is it like some spear that he gets hit with or whatever, you know? Does he get hurt? Like, maybe he doesn't take a pin. Like, maybe Cody, like you said, still takes the pin, but maybe Jay can't help, and that's why Cody takes the pin, you know? Obviously, we talked about, does somebody cash in afterwards? Is this cash in time? You know, is there interference? You know, like, these are the more things that apply to me, that I'm interested in, than necessarily who wins and loses this match. Because I don't know if the winner and loser is going to change a lot of the storyline. I mean, I can see where you said, I like that Cody idea with Cena that you got. Like, that would be a thing. But I don't know if, like, I don't know how it furthers Cody and Jay's story if they win. And I don't know how it, you know, really furthers Cena's and Logan's story if they win. I mean, if anything, I feel like it gives Logan and Jay a super rivalry, you know? And I don't know if people want that because people hate Logan so much, but I would love for Jay and Logan to have, I feel like Logan's a great guy to have a rivalry with. And I feel like Jay is like, he's the ultimate face in some ways. So I love this ultimate villain versus ultimate face. So I really would rather personally see the heels win. I feel like there's a lot more that comes out of it that you can do. Like I said, and I'm really curious about the aftermath of this match. Like I said, Money in the Bank, cash in / Jay's health / that sort of thing. That's more where this match holds me. But I'm going to watch this one purely out of an entertainment standpoint. Like I said, so give me the heels, but I wouldn't be surprised if the faces win. But give me the heels.
All right.
Let's have some fun Saturday night.
All right, we're split on these. All right, so let's recap just real quick. Women's Money in the Bank, you're taking Naomi, and I'm taking Rhea Ripley. Men's Money in the Bank, we're both taking LA Knight. Lyra and Becky, we're both taking Becky, correct? All right, and then for the tag, we're split. You're taking the heels, I'm taking the faces. So we're gonna have a definitive. Well, shoot, I guess we technically still could tie. We could tie. So, man, look, it's going to be a fun night. I hate that you're not going to be able to watch it live. This is the first one you're not going to be able to watch live in quite a minute.
Yeah, in a while, yeah.
Since, man, probably Royal Rumble, probably. I think
or since one of them kept getting delayed by something, or maybe that was the what was that, the Logan or the Jacob Paul Tyson fight or whatever.
That one kept getting delayed. Yeah.
God, that was so bad. Oh,
yeah, that was pretty terrible. Yeah, so sad that you're going to be missing it live, but I'll be no spoilers, of course, but I'll be texting you just teasing how good it is the whole time I'm watching. I'm going to be like, oh my God, dude, I can't wait.
Because I don't even know if I want to know the order, before it starts. So if you text me, you're like, Andrade just hit Seth with a...
I won't even tell you who's doing moves. I won't even tell you that.
Money in the Bank went first. Huh?
Yeah, I won't even tell you what. I'll wait until after the PLE is over, and then I'll just be like, I'll just give you bullet points like, there you go. I'll do that. I'll give you a grade after. All right, so let's jump into just some quick rumors that I've been going over because, man, there's some juicy rumors out in the world of wrestling currently. Let's jump into this one. So during an interview on the two-man power trip of wrestling, Jonathan Coachman said he knows for a fact that The Rock doesn't get along with Triple H, and they are, quote-unquote, always butting heads. That, of course, I'm going to wrap a few of these in, right? So think of this as one huge rumor right here. Coach said that he has really good intel, air quoting as they air quote, close to the situation that indicates there is a big power struggle going on behind the scenes in WWE. For whatever it's worth, Coachman thinks Triple H will not be running WWE anymore within 18 months. And then off the back end of that, former NXT star Wolfgang told Cultaholic's Tom Campbell that The Rock and the WWE had a bit of a falling out last year while preparing for WrestleMania 40. The Rock apparently thought WWE was going to set him up with a private jet to take him to LA to train with Gallus, the person we're talking about, Wolfgang, a former member of Gallus. I'm sorry. Continuing, while WWE assumed The Rock could arrange his own transportation there, Wolfgang said he thinks it was probably a case of someone big leaguing the other one. So they were basically putting it all on the table and seeing whose was bigger, I guess. So look, a lot to digest there and a lot going on between The Rock and the WWE. And look, I got to be honest with you, this makes me dislike The Rock even more. It doesn't put him in my good graces even more. And look, WWE, you can say like maybe they should have provided the travel for him, but you're telling me you're the biggest movie star in the world and you can't fly yourself there? Like you probably fly yourself to the grocery store sometimes. Come on, give me a break here.
No, The Rock, like, talk about being a guy who like did everything right, it felt like, for like the first 40 some odd years of his life. Then for some reason ego hit then. Like, I don't know why ego took so long. Like going back to the Black Adam movie that he made, where like he wanted to like take over the DC. He's got this like control issue, maybe. I don't know. And it's interesting as you watch the show Ballers. Ballers is a great show, fantastic show. But it shows the issues, the downfalls that you can have when you are a control nut, because that's what happens to his character even. So I wonder what he's doing. I wonder how much of this is true. I really hope it's not. But I mean, I get that you don't get along with Triple H. That's fine. But I mean, that usually makes for good creative decisions when you don't see eye to eye. Now, if you hate each other and you're fighting in meetings and cursing each other out, that's different. But, for the most part, if you got a whole bunch of yes men, that's why things suck, when everybody's just like, yeah, good idea, Matt. Good idea, Matt. Good idea. It's like, anybody got like something to tell me how this might not work? None of you, like, you can't have a bunch of sycophants. And so, look, I don't know what's going on. I don't know how many of these decisions. I'm really curious. Like, as much as I don't want this WW and real show to exist, I get more and more curious about it the further we get into things. Like who is creating these storylines? Is The Rock involved in any of these storylines? Is he like, because this right now, this might be like the last great hurrah of WWE in some ways, like before it becomes totally corporatized, corporation wise with TKO and whatnot. I mean, I don't mind like the advertisements on the rings and stuff. I know Vince was always against that sort of thing. I don't mind that incorporation, but yeah, there's things like dude wipes and whatnot. Like, what do we need dude wipe commercials or promos and things? Like, how much is too much, especially when you're constantly coming on the microphone after shows and talking about how this is the biggest event that WWE financially has ever done.
Yeah.
You know, like and then you're going off, and now you see Slim Jim is sponsoring the tables.
That doesn't surprise me.
So
just wait, you'll eventually get the camera shots of the announcers with all the Slim Jims right there next to them.
Oh yeah, I mean, does that mean that we're going to get tables every match almost now? Because if you're Slim Jim, you're going to want to use that sponsorship at least once a night. You know, you're not going to want to be like, hey man, I've been sponsoring Raw for like the past month, and you've only snapped into a Slim Jim table once. You know?
Yeah.
So like, you know, now we're going to get probably more, and like people, but like, you know, when you get people think they want tables because we don't get them. So when you do get them, you enjoy them. You know, but if you get tables every match, it's going to water down tables, you know,
very quickly.
So it's a curiosity thing. Where does this match go? How does this match work? You know, or with when I say match, I mean this partnership between The Rock and Triple H. Like if it's not working, then how do we fix it? Because I can't imagine that getting rid of Triple H is the right move. I can't imagine that he's like some hindrance to a good storyline or something, or a good product. I don't know. And if you had to tell me, like I said, if we had to pick teams right now, Team Rock or Team Triple H, I think I'm on Team Triple H, you know, and I wouldn't have thought that, but the more and more we see, like I said, The Rock get to be this dominating, needs to be, you know, I just, now I'm worried. Like I said, 6 months ago, I would have voted for The Rock for president.
Right. Yeah. Right. Well, and you know, it's funny you brought up his show Ballers, and while I did really like the show and I thought a lot of it was entertaining, funny enough, I felt that a lot of the storylines that happened in that show kind of left me like, I felt like I didn't feel that it reached a proper ending, or I was like, that's the end of that storyline. You know, that's where we were headed. You know, like, if you haven't seen the show at this point, I'm sorry. It's been out for quite a long time, but the whole stuff with the NCAA, right? You remember all that stuff that he did in the show? And I felt like they were like, all right, that's it. We're all done with that. And I was like, okay, I guess that was the point about that.
Well, I mean, I feel like that's kind of a reflection of The Rock. I feel like he's got a lot of good intentions, but not a lot of follow through.
Yeah. That was my point, is a lot of the storylines in his show that felt unfinished. A lot of the storylines of him in real life also feel unfinished.
Right.
So it's kind of, you know, kind of makes sense. I'm definitely on Team Triple H here. I just, man, this was a big worry for a lot of folks whenever they made the sale to TKO or to Endeavor, and then it became TKO upon the joint agreement or whatever. But look, I don't know what the answer is. I'm not one of the white collars or anything, but I just hope we find a solution quick.
I wonder what TKO's vision is for WWE on, like, you know, in the end.
Make as much money as possible. Yeah.
You know, look, you got, I hope they know what makes good money in WWE. And it's not the tables and ladders. Those are accessories that go on the product, you know. But if you don't have a good looking product, if you have the ugliest looking dude, it don't matter if you dress him up in Versace or whatever. If you have the ugliest looking woman, it doesn't matter if you slather makeup and fine jewelry on her, you know. Like, you've got to have a product that's good in the first place. And if they start slacking on that for all the accoutrements, then I'm like I said, I'm wondering if we're like the final days of the WWE dynasty, where they got too much and now they're going to be all fat and The Rock's going to take over. And
yeah. All right. Well, in response to a question about morale changing in the WWE following R-Truth's exit from the company, Fightful's Sean Ross Sapp said, yes, I have heard of person or persons that have been like, well, maybe I explore my options before signing well ahead of time. That's pretty much the limit I can say on that, end quote. So, look, we saw a lot of the, not just fan backlash online to R-Truth and Carlito and among others over the last, few weeks or so, their releases, but a lot of the talent within WWE had voiced their sadness or frustration with R-Truth's exit because just like you and I, he felt like a guy that was there for life until he was ready to hang him up. He was there. And it again leads to the question of, is this a corporate move? And then you hear the new reports that Roman Reigns is making $15 million a year. And then you also hear reports of, like you said, every event we do, we broke the gate record. Every event we set this record and we broke this monetary record. And it's like, you're breaking all these records. Why are we letting these people go? Especially because it's not like R-Truth had just been like sitting and catering for 2 years, right? He just got off a program with John Cena. So, and he's arguably the most beloved guy in your company that doesn't ever need a championship, ever. And that's rare. That's really rare for a guy that at his age can move as well as he still can go, is as funny as he is on the mic, is just all around.
Can you really cut a promo for anybody in your squad and help somebody out? If you got to bring somebody up, change somebody's story, whatever you need to do, R-Truth is the guy you can go to immediately.
Exactly. I agree.
Like, hey man, we need you to cut a promo with so-and-so, you know?
Yeah. So I'm not surprised that there's a shift in morale backstage, because when you lose a guy like that to the corporate overlords, it's tough.
That's the rumor for the reason that Gunther cleared the WWE off his socials and The Miz did the same, is apparently in some ways it's in solidarity with R-Truth. And then like I said, we saw, you know, like people wearing R-Truth shirts on Raw Monday night and whatnot.
Yeah.
So probably see some more R-Truth, vestiges on SmackDown tonight. Like I said, we heard the crowd on Monday chant for R-Truth. Like, look, like this was it was a bad move, especially after having R-Truth just on like 2 weeks, two shows in a row, basically, or whatever. So like that made even less sense. And I've heard people suggest that they should have made the Cena R-Truth match a hang 'em up match or something then. And then you could have at least played into the storyline, and made John Cena the hated person.
No, I agree with you. I've seen that floating around too. That's what makes this feel like it was so unplanned and so just like cutthroat. It seems like there was no plan to set R-Truth up. It really felt like why are we still paying this guy this much money? And let's just cut him. Because if you knew that you weren't re-signing his contract that far out, you would have just made that Backlash match a career match. Just make R-Truth, okay, if I lose, if I can't save wrestling, then I'll leave wrestling. If I can't save you, then I can't do there's nothing left for me to do here. And then you can have him retire. And again, like you said, make wrestling, he's going to ruin wrestling. And what other way to do that than to retire R-Truth? That's what makes it feel like it's so cutthroat and so unexpected, and why so many of the talent are kind of speaking their mind out about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, this TKO thing, like I said, well, this could be a double-edged sword. We're finally getting the cuts from the other side sort of thing,
Yeah.
We'll see how this goes, but there's concern, like I said, especially right now after this great little, I'm not going to say renaissance, but like I said, it's been a nice little comeback for wrestling overall. I feel like the last couple of years really getting back. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Like I said, was this just a crest, and then we're gonna fall down to the crash the wave?
Yeah. All right. Last few things, and then we'll get out of here. WrestleVotes Radio mentioned that WWE is aware of potential fan backlash for its plan to run WrestleMania 42 in Las Vegas again. The company is carefully planning how to make that announcement. You talk about a money grab. You talk about WWE wanting more money. Look, they made a lot of money in Las Vegas, and a lot of people complained about like the hotel situation and how it took some people hours to walk back to their hotel from the venue. And I don't know, maybe in the next year they would make some changes, but I think it's just all about being being in Vegas and making that money. And that's just what it really boils down to. It feels like to me. And look, I'm going to call this that we won't know until years from now, but I don't think that New Orleans is getting a WrestleMania. I think that WWE is lying through their teeth and is trying to save face for the fact that they cost a lot of people a lot of money, because a lot of people had already bought non-refundable flights and non-refundable hotels, and you can't get that money back. And then on top of that, imagine all the companies in New Orleans that had already started planning for those tourists to be there. Go back and look how much money the Super Bowl brought into New Orleans. Go back and look at how much WrestleMania 30 and 34 brought into New Orleans. It multiples of millions of dollars. And you just said, actually, we're not going to do that. We're going to give you Money in the Bank, which is great. Money in the Bank is fantastic, but it's not WrestleMania. And when you look at the fact that 80%, I think it was 80% of the people that attend WrestleManias are not from the city that hosts WrestleMania. So only
Right, right.
20% of the people that are going to WrestleMania are actually going to be from New Orleans. Only, and who knows how much that number is going to be at Money in the Bank. So if New Orleans Money in the Bank doesn't turn up these huge historic numbers, I just wouldn't be shocked if WWE was like, well, look, the demand for it obviously isn't as high anymore. So we'll revisit WrestleMania in New Orleans at a later date. And then all of a sudden, it's WrestleMania 50, 51, 52, and we still haven't gotten one. So I just wouldn't be shocked if WWE's pulling some crap like that, because I think it's going to be Vegas again, and then I think it's probably going to be London. I don't think we get 43.
I mean, it's an interesting decision because of how WWE's been traditionally.
Mm-hmm.
They move everything around. If they didn't, and if they figured out better, so one thing about Vegas is both the arenas are not on the strip. So it is a bit of a figure out how to get, especially the black hole. You got to get an Uber, you got to have a car, you got to do something, or you're going to be walking for a hot minute. That said, Vegas in some ways might be the best place for WrestleMania. If you weren't going to move it, if you're going to make, if TKO decided, just think about like bowl games in football, right? The Sugar Bowl is always in New Orleans. The Rose Bowl is always in the Rose Bowl, So it's what's TKO's prerogative, because I feel like there's benefits to that, but it also takes away the allure that wrestling has in some ways, where it shows up in every city. But there's some cities where we're getting to where WrestleMania just works better than it would in other places. Like WrestleMania probably works in so many cities. It probably works in Atlanta. If it doesn't work in New York, you probably have to do it like in New Jersey.
Right. Which they have done in New Jersey, yeah.
Yeah. See, I mean, so it's just, where does it work? And when it comes to doing all the ancillary things, when it comes to WrestleMania, like the meet and greets and the WrestleMania this or the WWE that, Vegas has a lot of space for things like that.
They do.
So look, it sucks for New Orleans, because obviously we would like to at least have the opportunity to consider buying tickets that are probably going to be way too much.
Yeah, right.
But we'd want to at least have the opportunity. But at the same time, if TKO is going to move this direction, where they start maybe solidifying locations, like what if Money in the Bank every year was in New Orleans? What if you knew that? And what if New Orleans could promote itself as the Money in the Bank city? I don't know. Like what if things become permanent in some ways? That's the way TKO. If that's the case, Vegas might be the best place. So you better get used to it.
Yeah, and I guess I wouldn't be opposed if Vegas got like a PLE, even a big PLE every year. But I just love the idea of WrestleMania being a destination event, just wherever it may be. I would love to see Vegas get SummerSlam, maybe. If they could have SummerSlam every year, I think August, it would be hot, don't get me wrong, but so is April in Vegas, you know what I'm saying? So it would be a little bit of a difference, but not too bad. As coming from people from the South, we know about the heat as well, not that type of heat. But yeah, look, I love the idea of Mania jumping around. I guess I wouldn't be too upset if it is in Vegas again, but I just wouldn't be shocked if we end up not getting a WrestleMania down the line.
Right.
All right. Last in our rumor mill notes or whatever. Speaking of WrestleMania 42, Fightful Select notes that Zoe Stark is not expected to return to WWE before WrestleMania 42 after undergoing a significant procedure on her knee that was injured last month on Raw. So nothing too much to talk about there. We're not terribly surprised. We knew the knee was pretty banged up. She already had history with it, and we knew how bad that incident was. Nothing too surprising here. Look, WrestleMania is, 9 or 10 months away. Not terribly shocked that she's not going to make it, but had to bring that up while it was.
Well, the other injury news is that Kevin Owens, man, he might literally be finished. So,
and that's the thing, dude. I said when that your neck is nothing to play about, as we know.
No.
And as somebody who has gotten nothing compared to Kevin Owens or any of these guys, as somebody who's had like C2, C3 issues with my neck, just a little bit I've had, it's tough, man. So I can only imagine even trying to be comfortable enough to bump the same way after you get a neck surgery.
It's also that he hasn't even had surgery yet, because they don't want to have surgery unless they feel like they have to. So right now they're kind of playing the waiting game to see how natural healing will occur, because you don't want to just have surgery on your neck/spinal area if you don't have to.
No.
So
ask Big E.
So that's also delaying. Like that's delaying any thought of his return in a sense, you know what I mean? Because we don't know, where he's going, like when he's even going to have the surgery right now. There's not even like a date set.
Yeah.
So there's not even like a beginning idea of when he could be back. So it's sad, because man, Kevin Owens, like you said, another first ballot Hall of Famer right there, you know. And it's sad to see his career go out like that. But if he does go out, man, he has some of the best final matches I think anybody could have. Those last final 4 or 5 matches that he had were just some of the most brutal. Him and Sammy, him and Cody, just I've never seen anybody do that to a ladder before.
Yeah, and he and Randy would have been great. You know, I'm glad we got the Joe Hendry moment,
that match would have been great. Yeah, no, it would have been.
Yeah, that match would have been excellent. All right, so that's all I got for the rumors. Look, speedy recovery to Zoe Stark and Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is one of my favorite of all time, so definitely wishing him a speedy recovery for sure. Look, man, it sucks. It's part of the game. We've seen a lot of guys and women that have come and gone because of serious injuries like that. I have no doubt that KO will be involved in the wrestling scene somehow, even if he's done for now. I would love to see him come back as a manager, maybe even. He's so great on the mic that it would be a seamless fit. Even if we get like a Dark Sammy character, maybe Kevin Owens comes back to be in the corner of his friend with this newfound attitude. Could be something cool. We see Big E come back even when he's not cleared to compete in the pre-show panels and all that stuff. So look, there's always going to be room for Kevin Owens. I hope he's going to be back. But at this point, let's assume the worst case, right? That he has to have surgery at some point. Let's say you wait a year and then you finally decide, all right, we have to have the surgery. That's what, another 1.5 to 2 years, maybe after the recovery. So we're looking at 3 years down the line. And I think that's going to put Kevin well into his 40s. And while it's not impossible to wrestle well into your 40s, you just got to wonder, after being active for so long and all the injuries, how much of it is like, is it worth it anymore? Like, is it worth not walking with my kids, you know?
Right. Or maybe he comes back after 3 years, wrestles one match, is like, yeah, no, that was fun. Thanks for having me back. That I don't want to do this no more.
Stone Cold is funny enough because they're very similar characters, but Stone Cold had a lot of neck issues and swore that he was never coming back. And then, funny enough, we got him against Kevin Owens at WrestleMania 38. Maybe, I have no doubt that we will hopefully get, I don't want to say no doubt, I'm very optimistic that we'll get one last Kevin match, even if he is done, and hopefully it's against Sammy. Because him against Sammy, even if it's down the line and Sammy's ready to go, imagine a double retirement match between Sammy and Kevin down the line after all they've been through, all the WrestleMania matches, the WrestleMania main events, all the tag titles they've held together across multiple promotions.
Kevin comes out like the Undertaker.
God, it would just be, dude, it would be
smoke. Nobody's seen him in 5 years. Smoke comes like, who's Sammy's final opponent? Oh my God, it's KO.
Dude, imagine just like, if we're having some fun fantasy booking here, just imagine like the dark screen, the backdrop, and the smoke comes up and Sammy's just standing there like, what the heck? And then Kevin's music just punches in because he's got that heavy guitar, the bang it. And Kevin's music is some of my favorite in the whole company. Yeah, dude, that'd be fun. We're fantasy booking a little Kevin Owens versus Sammy towards the end here, but yeah. So
we're fantasy booking 2030 right now.
Yeah, 2030, book it. WrestleMania main event, night 1 of 7, because it'll be a week-long extravaganza by that point. They'll have 7 different brands, 1 on each night. It's gonna be yeah. All right, so for Matt and Casey, this has been TK Wrestling. Look, dude, we're gonna get out of here. We're gonna enjoy some Money in the Bank. I'm actually going to split these videos up, Di. So we're going to have our Money in the Bank predictions, and then we're going to have a rumor video posted separately. Right. So we're kind of peeling the curtain back a little for you guys that we're recording our,
You have to double this section up then, because like I said, we got to tell them we need the comments, we need the likes, we need the subscribes.
Yes, we do.
Like I said, we love that feedback. Like I said, you were going back and forth with somebody about Dirty Dom and whatnot, about the Judgment Day. So we love that sort of stuff. Like I said, let us know who you've got in these predictions, because I really feel like all 4 of those matches could almost go any which way.
I 100% agree with you.
So I think the only one the only one we technically agreed on, I know we agreed on the women's, the men's, but the only one we really agreed on was Becky. And I'm not even 100% on that one. So get in, let us know who you got. Like I said, hit us up in the comments. Let us know what you think of, are you team Triple H? Are you team The Rock? Which team are you on here? Are you ready to see the behind the scenes of WWE Unreal?
Eventually.
Figure out, whenever it does come out. Who knows? There could be a fight back scenes like, cancel that show for all we know. Anyway,
good.
Lots of stuff going on in the WWE world. What are your thoughts? We want to know. Like I said, subscribe, share it out there. Tell us what you think, man, because I want to know. I need more ideas so I can fantasy book in my head somewhere.
Let's do it. All right. Well, for Casey and Matt, this has been TK Wrestling. We're out of here. Go enjoy some Money in the Bank.